Hello, this is Justin7, and this week I'm going to teach you a little bit about handicapping Major League Baseball money lines. Now, the first thing you want to do when you're trying to settle a money line is say, what percent of the time do I think the home team is going to win this matchup? Now, there are right ways and wrong ways to answer that question. A bad way to do this is say, I like this pitcher, or this team's hot, this team's on a streak. And that's unfortunately the way most people do it, and most people lose money at it. If you want to make money at handicapping baseball, you need to do it the right way, and that's with math. A common way to set a money line is to use Bill James' Pythagorean theorem for runs scored to determine the odds of each team winning. And this is the theorem here. And as you can see in this example, if you have a team that scores 4 runs a game, allows 3 runs a game, they're expected to win 64% of the time. But this formula can also work for a matchup as long as you have average runs scored for each team. So when you're handicapping baseball, your goal is to figure out, in this particular matchup, how many runs on average will a team score? So how do you figure out how many runs a team is likely to score in a given matchup? There are 3 components you need to analyze. The first thing for each team is to analyze its starting lineup of batters. You like to make some sort of projection on how many plate appearances each player is going to have and what's going to happen on average. How many walks, how many singles, doubles, triples, homers, and any other event that can occur that will affect scoring. There are lots of sources that will give you projections for players. You can use whatever source or combination of sources you want. The second thing you have to look at is the starting pitcher for each team. Again, using the same sources, you can make an estimate for how many innings is that pitcher likely to go and what kind of distribution will he have as far as hits allowed, walks allowed. The third thing you have to look at, obviously, is the bullpen for each team. Now, combining the starting pitcher and the bullpen, you get a good picture of that team's likely defensive performance. And you compare that to the offensive performance, and you can use that to estimate how many total hits and runs you'll have for each team. There's a lot of different ways to estimate the number of runs. The one I like to use is called the run estimator. But there's a lot of other ideas floating around there on how to best estimate how many runs a team will score given a certain number of different hits and walks. A poster named G's Picks gave me some information he thought was useful in handicapping. In a matchup between the Nationals and the Marlins, in which the Marlins won and I had bet on the Nationals, he stated that the Nationals were 1-10, their home record is 0-6. The Marlins are 11-1, best record in the league. Volstat's ERA is under 3. But the hard part is, how can you use these stats to set a win percentage? You can say, yes, Florida is the better team, Washington is the worst team, but what win percentage should you set on that? Because there will be a price on any given game where you should be willing to play any team as long as the price is sufficiently good. So if a horrendous pro team played anyone and you're getting plus 1,000, of course you take the bad team. But the question is, where do you draw the line? And these type of stats don't help you draw that line. You really have to do a lot of numerical analysis to find the right point. Now, it's obviously a lot of work to set up all the statistics for all the teams, for their batters, their starting pitchers, and their bullpen. But once you do, and once you start setting lines, the next step is to see how good your model is. And the way I do that is I compare the price I set and look to see if the line moves agree. So for example, if I thought a team had a 60% chance to win and I set the price on that game at -150, if the line opened up at 130 and it moved 5 cents in my direction, closing at 135, that would be a 5-cent positive move in my favor because the market agreed with my pick. Whereas if it opened at 130 and it moved to -125, that would be a 5-cent disagreement. So what you want to do is you want to track your first 100 plays, add up the line movements, and see how much it's moving per play. And if it's moving at least a couple cents, you're probably on the right track. If you're a small player, I really think you're best off focusing on the overnight lines. Now, you may not know what the actual lineup will be, but you can make a good guess, and you're as likely to benefit or be hurt by a line-up change, which is fine. But getting the opportunity to hit the unpainted lines really makes it a lot easier for you to win in the long term. That's all for this week. If you have any more questions, feel free to send me an email at justin@sportsbookreview.com.